So our theme this month, as you know, is, are you having any fun? Are you having any fun?
Are you having any fun?
What you getting out of living?
What you getting out of living?
What good is what you've got?
What good is what you got?
If you're not having any fun.
If you're not having any fun.
You are getting so good at that. We may have to do another month of Are You Having Any Fun? We've got a great chorus here now. So we've been talking all month about the fact that life is unfolding right here, right now. We've remembered that everything in our lives begins with a thought. So whatever we intend in our lives, we have to start right here and right now to move forward. We can only begin right where we are in consciousness, each one of us individually, and build. First in thought, and then in our actual experiences, the life that we have imagined. And the reminder every week has been that in the process, be sure to have some fun along the way. Ernest Holmes, one of his many, many books that he wrote entitled This Thing Called Life, taught that all life is creative, according to the nature, the impulse, the emotion, or the conviction behind the thought. The nature, the impulse, the emotion, the conviction behind the thought. Well, that gives us a lot to think about, doesn't it? That means that there are indeed some magnificent discoveries to uncover about ourselves. And we heard this morning, some of you are doing that on a regular basis within your spiritual practices. So I want to begin this morning by telling you a story that I read some time ago. Some of you may be familiar with this. This story was written by Jack Canfield, who most of you recognize as one of the names of the co-authors of the several dozen chicken soup books. And this is Jack's story titled Follow Your Dreams. He said, I have a friend by the name of Monty Roberts who owns a horse ranch in San Ysidro, which is down in Southern California, almost to the Mexican border. And he said he's let me use his house to put on fundraising events to raise money for youth at-risk programs. The last time I was there, he said, he introduced me by saying, I want to tell you why I let Jack Canfield use my house for these events. It goes back to a story about a young man who was the son of an itinerant horse trainer. So the father would go from stable to stable, racetrack to racetrack, farm to farm, ranch to ranch, training horses. As a result, his son's high school career was constantly being interrupted by a move to another area. So when the boy was a senior, he was asked to write a paper about what he wanted to be and do when he grew up. So that night, the boy wrote a 7-page paper describing his goal of someday owning a horse ranch. He wrote about his dream in great detail. And he even drew a diagram of a 200-acre ranch. He showed the location of all the buildings, the stables, even the racetrack. Then he drew a detailed floor plan for a 4,000 square foot house that would sit on that 200-acre dream ranch. He put a great deal of work and all of his heart into this project, and the next day he turned it in to his teacher. Well, 2 days later, he received his paper back. And on the front page was a great big red F with a note that said, see me after class. So this boy with that dream went to see his teacher after class, and he asked, why did you give me an F? And the teacher answered, because this is an unrealistic dream, especially for a young boy like you. You have no money, You come from an itinerant family. You have no resources. Owning a horse ranch takes a lot of money. You have to buy the land. You have to pay for the original breeding stock. And later you'll have large stud fees. There's no way you could ever do this. But the teacher offered, if you will rewrite this paper with a more realistic goal, I'll reconsider your grade. So the boy went home and he thought about that for a long time. And then he asked his father what his father thought he should do. His father said, look, son, you have to make up your own mind on this. I think that's very important for you. So finally, after sitting with it for about a week, the boy turned in the same paper, making no changes at all. He said to the teacher, you can keep the F. I'll keep my dream. Monty then turned to this assembled group and said, I tell you this because you are sitting in my 4,000 square foot home in the middle of my 200-acre horse ranch. I still have that F paper. I've got it framed. It's over the fireplace there. And the best part of the story, he added, is that 2 summers ago, the school teacher who gave me that F brought 30 kids out here to camp out for a week on my ranch. When they were ready to leave, the teacher said to me, look, Monty, there's something that I want to tell you. When I was your teacher, I was a dream stealer. He said, during those years, I stole a lot of kids' dreams. Fortunately, you had enough gumption not to give up on yours. The gumption not to give up on your dreams. The realization that you can conceive, you can achieve, and the discovery that magnificent things occur in your life when you allow your thoughts to take shape. Who knows? Your story could be in the next Chicken Soup for the Soul book. And in Monty's case, it not only came true, his dream not only came true, but it provided him with a lot of fun. It provided fun for countless other young people who would otherwise have continued to be at risk of never seeing their own dreams come true either. So what is the nature? What is the impulse? What's the emotion, the conviction behind your thoughts? How much fun can you have as you let those thoughts take form in your mind? What are some of the magnificent discoveries that you can uncover for yourself? I have some I'd like you to consider. And as your own thought processes kick in or ramp up, you can add to this list. I encourage you to. So here's discovery number 1. Where I am right now is right now. If you want to know where your consciousness is in any given moment, look at your life in that same moment. Just resist the urge to criticize what you see. Know that where you are right now is right. Now, for now. And that in and of itself is a magnificent discovery. There's a reason for what I'm now experiencing. And the reason is, at some level, not necessarily consciously, I created it. But since you're a student of New Thought, and New Thought means new experience, you understand that this is why you're here. This is why you bring new thoughts into your experience, that the experience you're having in this moment is what takes you to the next moment and the next. So however it looks, you can observe and then make adjustments in whichever direction you want to go. In fact, Dr. Holmes in the Science of Mind text says, that which thought has done, thought can undo. So if you don't like the results, have another thought. Have another affirmation. Do another spiritual mind treatment. Talk to your prayer partner. Read a book. Listen to a CD. Watch a DVD. Listen to the words in the music that you play. We have so many opportunities to change our thinking. Lifelong habits of negative thinking and negative doing can be consciously and deliberately neutralized, and a completely new pattern of mental and emotional actions can be created in our thinking. How long does it take? As long as it takes. As each new thought unfolds, an old one drops away. So we can replace negative thinking with positive thinking. We can replace wrong thinking with active, constructive, right thinking. We can create happy, wholesome, hopeful, even hopeful, vital thinking. And out of that, create a whole new life for ourselves. So draw constantly from the principles that you already know. Emulate that which you have already seen work. Not to copy or to imitate, but to value and acknowledge this worth. This is why we do Standing in the Light every Sunday morning. Oh, we could do it on Saturday too, couldn't we? That's an idea. The whole idea is you hear other people's success stories. They'll all work for you as well. And as you share this, you begin to recognize, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here in this plane of existence. This is why I'm here in this room this morning. So that I hone my skills at living a better life. Just remember that we are active, we are participatory agents in our own experience and development. Well, here's discovery number 2. Thought into form is simple, but the level at which we think is what sets the level at which we manifest. Oh, there's some food for thought. Michael Mahoney from the Esalen Center for Theory and Research. Everybody know where Esalen is? Up on the California coast, Big Sur area. Michael Mahoney says limited ideas are impediments to transformation. We can get stuck in an idea, in a diagnosis, in a disorder, or in a developmental history, and no longer see it as a possible step in living in another way. It's always for our highest and our best good to take into consciousness the broadest concept we can conceive, imagine. And if you feel like you're stuck at a level lower than is acceptable to you, get some help. You don't have to automatically accept the F that somebody else gives you. Find somebody who grades higher. Find a higher energy to resonate with. Try God. Try that infinite wisdom which is everywhere, equally present, all the time. Reverend Lloyd Strom used to say, if you have been putting your idea into mind and it's not working, think a greater idea. Expand. Because that opens your consciousness up when you start to do that expansion. When you stay on the same thing all the time, you always get what you always got. So expand. Because energy flows where attention goes. So surrounding yourself with positive, loving, supportive, encouraging thought is becoming and maintaining an active, participatory agent in your own experience and development. So stay focused. Keep your attention on the fulfillment of your desires. And be sure to have some fun doing it. As in, lighten up and enjoy. Okay, here's discovery number 3. Practice. 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 To be better. When you know better, you do better. Oh, how many times have we heard that? Those marvelous words of Maya Angelou. One sentence. One sentence. When you know better, you do better. So simple, yet so profound a statement. We learn to do better by practicing. We learn to be better by practicing. By practicing that which makes us better. By that which causes us to think better, to express better. Holmes suggests that we should take the highest thought we have and keep enlarging on it. Sounds like him quoting Lloyd Strong, doesn't it? It's just the opposite. Holmes said it first. But by that, Holmes means put that thought into your consciousness so that it becomes an inner embodiment of your ideas. It's like chip implant. You can do it on your credit card. Why not do it on your thoughts? For example, if you want to demonstrate prosperity and abundance in your life, you must have a consciousness of prosperity. If you want to demonstrate good health, you must have a consciousness of good health. This is not only having faith, it's also the knowledge that what we think about and practice thinking about and talk about is what shows up for us, because it's what we attract to ourselves. So when we talk about the energy field that surrounds all living things, you have one, I have one. I love to attract into my energy field positive energy from each of you. And oh, by the way, when it's negative, I can tell that too. Can you? When you're in someone's negative energy field, can you tell that? So it's really important to be alert, to be aware, and to be open to that realization. And to develop ways to stay in that positive energy field. Not in criticism to anyone else, but also not being captive to it. So be willing to accept your ideas in a big way. Dare to dream greater dreams than you've ever dreamed before. Just because what you intend for yourself doesn't show up the very first time you admit to yourself that it's truly what you are choosing is no reason to give up on it or to give up on yourself. I've probably told you this story before, but I'm going to tell it again because I love it. When Wayne Dyer completed his first book, Your Erroneous Zones, it was rejected by publishers 7 times in a row. So he decided he would self-publish it, which he did. He took his savings and he invested them in having the book printed. If any of you have or have read The Erroneous Zones, it's a little book like this. It's a little paperback. Then he bought a Volkswagen Beetle and a small wooden stake bed trailer, put his books in his trailer, and he started off around the country to sell the books. He'd pull into a town or a city. He'd look up all the bookstores. This was back when they had bookstores. Look up all the bookstores in the telephone book, and he'd call them. And at each one, he would ask the same question. Do you have Wayne Dyer's new book, Your Erroneous Zones, knowing full well that none of them did? Next, he'd get the names and addresses of all the radio stations in the area, and he'd call them. And he'd offer to do a talk show appearance for no fee. He said in those days, especially in small towns, they would put you on the radio if you had a new avocado dip to talk about. So he was very successful at getting on these radio stations. And once he got on the show, he'd talk about his new book. And he'd suggest that listeners call or visit their local bookstores to get a copy of it. This is masterful marketing. After 2 or 3 days, he'd show up at those bookstores with his books. And he would ask, "Do you still have some of these on your shelves?" Knowing full well they had never had them. And of course, the stores then were eager to buy copies to sell, since they'd been getting calls and customers coming in asking for them. By the time he had sold all that he had self-published, he found a small publisher willing to do a printing. When they notified him that the books were ready for distribution, he asked how many they had printed. And the answer was 1,500. His response was, "Well, print more. Those will sell out right away." But the publisher stood firm, saying, well, when those 1,500 were gone, then they'd print more. So what do you suppose Dr. Dyer did? He bought all 1,500 of them himself. And the rest is history. Within 5 years, he was one of the all-time best-selling nonfiction writers in the country. And if his success story doesn't move you, just remember Abraham Lincoln. There's a name that's also familiar to you. Abraham Lincoln ran for office 16 times before he was elected to his first political position. So you see, it's never too late. It's never impossible. It's simply practice to be better. And then practice to be better. So here's discovery number 4. It's very wise to keep your ideas to yourself until you're clear about them. Or work with someone who really understands what you are about, like a practitioner or a prayer partner. Grant yourself time and space and contemplation when you're working on new ideas, new possibilities, changes in your life. Don't assume you need somebody else's opinion or criticism to validate your ideas or deface them. Remember, your ideas are God's ideas flowing through your individual personality and expression. It's highly unlikely that God would choose you to pass the junk through. And conversely, leave other people alone to work on their ideas as well. Simply know for them their own greatness and then get busy on your own stuff again. So in the very first chapter of the very first book of the Bible, there is a quote that goes this way: "Let there be light. Let there be a firmament. Let the waters gather together in one place. Let the earth bring forth grass, seeds, trees. Let there be lights in the firmament." You get my drift here? Divine intelligence, even in the act of creation, didn't say, well, I'm really going to try to create something new. Or, oh, okay, be patient with me now. I really hope I can make something happen. This is God at work, allowing its creative energy to be directed, its intention to become focused, not forcing, not gritting teeth, not spitting nails, and certainly not whining or compromising. Not taking whatever comes along or accepting less than the very best. And you see, you are God at work by means of you. You are divinity expressing itself, working through you. That's not a heavy burden. That's the ultimate gift, and it's all yours, just for the taking. This is something you can do, and you can have fun doing it, energizing your joy in the process. Because it all begins with a thought, but it manifests with stunning demonstrations of our discoveries. Magnificent ideas are worth letting happen in our lives. Magnificent discoveries are worth letting happen in our lives. You are worth having magnificence in your life. So I'm going to ask you to say after me now, I am a most valuable person. I am a most valuable person. I am a most worthwhile person. I am a most worthwhile person. With fun and joy. With fun and joy. I let magnificent ideas. I let magnificent ideas and magnificent discoveries into my life. Into my life. Right here. Right here. Right now.
Right now.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Are you having any fun?
Are you having any fun?
What you getting out of living?
What you getting out of living?
What good is what you've got?
What good is what you got?
If you're not having any fun,
If you're not having any fun.
and so it is.